Right, to be fair, right, this is quite hard. You look at this and you think, what the hell is this talking about? But what they've done with this diagram is they've just scared you. So if I put a diagram next to it of what it actually looks like, yes, it's got a short run and a long run diagram, but if you actually look at it, if you put them together, it's actually doing that. Because if you wanted to, you could do this. You could go the short run and then the long run. So it's just putting both of them together, and it's just looking scary, and it's basically saying AD is down by here, which means a firm is not anywhere near, firms in the economy won't be near the full capacity in the economy. So anything, it's basically, if the economy is not working at full capacity, is there going to be inflation? No, because there's probably going to be a negative output gap. So both of them are stupid. Right? Is there going to be unemployment of labour? Right, you know there is. Whenever there's a negative output gap, there's going to be labour which isn't employed. So it's got to be C. And then D, it says a low rate of economic growth. I can see why you'd pick that, but if you think about it, for there to be a low rate of economic growth, what has to be going outwards? The AS line would be going outwards, but just a tiny bit, because it's saying it's a low rate of economic growth. So the answer is C. Right, I can kind of see why some people might not have got this. So deflation is the opposite of inflation. Inflation is when there's a sustained rise in the price level. Deflation is a sustained fall in the price level. So I'm going to go through these answers. Now, you've seen fall, so some people might think, oh, that might be right, but it's of the external value of the domestic currency. Right, that would be caused by a change in the exchange rate. So it's wrong. But I suppose I can see why you might have put that. Because you're thinking, oh, if there's deflation, our currency will be losing value against other currencies. There's no guarantee of that, because, for example, there could be massive deflation in the other country. So that's wrong. Right, next one says a fall in the rate of inflation. Now, I can see why you'd say that, but the thing is, a fall in the rate of inflation means, so inflation might have been 4%, but now it's 3.5% because there's been a fall in the rate. But what does that mean? The prices are still going up, but they're going up at a slower rate, so it can't be that. C, a loss in value of capital stock due to physical wear and tear. Honestly, I don't know why they've even put that. That's ridiculous. If anyone put C, just have a real look at yourself. Right, D, a rise in the value of money over time. Basically, when there's deflation, it means that if you had £5 in the bank, in a year's time, it actually is it's worth more because prices are going down. So therefore, you'll be able to buy more stuff with that £5. So that means there's a rise in the real value of money over time. Whenever you see that word "real," it means taking account inflation. But anyway, just think about it, common sense, right? Whenever there's inflation, normal inflation, there's a fall in the value of money. So if there's deflation, there'll be a rise in the value of money. Okay, again, this is one of those ones which scares you, and you've just got to go through each part. So they're saying our balance of payments in the current account is in deficit. This means basically we're importing more than we are exporting. So that's all we've got so far. So I'm just trying to say all the bits as we go along. And it says unemployment is high. Okay? So their plan is to lower unemployment by increasing AD. So in this question, basically all that's happened so far is AD's gone up. What's then likely to happen with these things? So go through each one at a time. So if AD goes up, is that going to cause inflation? Yeah, of course it is. So you've got three answers it can be. And it can't be B because they said decrease. So we've still got three options. Is GDP likely to increase when AD goes up? Yes, it is. So C is out the way. So we've got two more options. If AD goes up, is that going to be good for our balance of payments or bad for our balance of payments? Right? If more people are spending the economy and people have more money, it can actually be bad for the balance of payments, because if people have got more money, what are they likely to buy? They're likely to buy imports, and that seems a bit odd. So the deficit on the current account might actually increase, because as people in the UK have got more money, they might be buying imports. I can see why you might put A, but the answer is D. This is actually quite a key point, because if you think about it, you know how we always talk about Tiger? Whenever AD goes up with Tiger, we can say a big problem with AD going up is people in the UK have got more money. So if they've got more money, what might they buy? They might buy imports, and that can be bad for our trade balance. And you should use that in your essays. Right, I swear this question is here just to screw you over. Multiplier effect can be any part of AD. It doesn't matter what part. It can be any part of AD goes up, and this increases. This will therefore lead to an increase in national income. So it doesn't matter what part of AD they talk about, you know, as long as something goes up a part of AD and then it causes an increase in national income, it's got to be the right answer. So it says A, aggregate demand upon imports. That's rubbish. Right? B, national income upon aggregate demand. I can see why you might have put that, but it's the wrong way around. It's got to be aggregate demand on national income. Right? Savings upon investment, rubbish. And then we've got investment, which we know is part of AD, upon national income. So that's right. Here, with this question, it's going to come up. Instead of saying investment, they could have said government spending. They could have said consumer spending. You know, they could have said any part of AD, as long as it's upon national income. Right, this one genuinely tried to screw you over. Honestly, I looked at it and I was sure it was A. Then I looked at it and I realised I was wrong, and I can see why I was wrong. Loads of you will have put A, but it's just asking the same sort of questions in a different way. In this question, it's saying that the government are trying to reduce AD, so the government are trying to make AD go down, and it's saying which of the following combinations is going to reduce the effectiveness of this. So basically, which of the following things will make AD go up? Because that's going against what the government's trying to do. So if people have got bigger incomes, that's gonna screw it up, because if people have got more incomes, AD is going to go up, and that's not what the government want. So you can get rid of that one, and you can get rid of that one. So it's going to be B or D. Right, if unemployment is falling, what's everyone's going to have? They're going to have more money, so they're more likely to spend, which would make AD go up. The problem is the government in this case want AD to go down. So if unemployment is falling, that would be would reduce the effectiveness. So D is wrong. So B is definitely the right answer. We just got to check the last bit. If taxation is falling, what's going to be happening to AD? AD will be going up. What does the government want to happen? They want AD to go down. So the answer is B. But I don't blame you for getting that one wrong. Right, this one really has got no right to be in our paper. I think it should be on Mr. Thompson's side. But it's a really easy concept, right? If it says, with no change in position of the PPF, there's now an increase in the production of capital goods. So that means instead of people making this much, instead of making this many capital and consumptive goods, they end up making this many, they're making more capital goods, which obviously means they're making less consumption goods in the short run. So it can only be C or D, because there's going to be a fall in the consumption goods. The thing is, if you make more capital goods are goods that can make more consumption goods later on. So when you make more capital goods, in the long run, it will make the economy go this way, which means, obviously, you'll be able to make more consumption goods. So the answer is D, because in the long run, you'll be making more consumption goods. Speak to me if you're not sure about that one. Right, it sickens me to tell you this, right, and some of you are going to be shocked by this, but it's talking about fiscal policy. What they like to do, government wishing to reduce the level of employment through the use of fiscal policy. Some of you put interest rates, lower interest rates. Honestly, what do we know interest rates are? They are obviously... Oh God, Man United have scored. Unbelievable, one sec. Right, in that pause, then Bayern Munich scored. Ridiculous. Anyway, moving on, right? So, fiscal policy, you know it can't be interest rates. What else can it be? It can't be C, because that's to do with... Sorry, that's to do with interest rates. And that's the wrong way. So if anyone puts C, honestly. Right, moving on. It can only be B or D. Right. It can't be D, because encourage depreciating the exchange rate. The exchange rate is also monetary policy. So just by process of elimination, it can only be B. So if they decrease the size of their budget surplus, they must be spending more, which would obviously reduce levels of unemployment, because that would increase, AD would be going up. So the answer is B.